Now, it was expected to be a tough week for Rishi Sunak, but it's turning out to be a troubled week for the Labour leader instead. So Keir Starmer has had to suspend 2 parliamentary candidates over remarks they made about Israel. Azhar Ali has apologised for suggesting at a meeting that Israel had allowed the Hamas assault as a pretext to invade Gaza. But Labour pulled its backing for him after further comments emerged, leaving them without a candidate in the Rochdale by-election. Well, I've been speaking to Dame Louise Ellman, a former Labour MP who left the party over alleged antisemitism when Jeremy Corbyn was leader. When the Rochdale story broke, she issued a statement on social media saying she'd known the candidate, Azhar Ali, for over 20 years as an ally. And while she was appalled by his comments, he should have the opportunity to work with the Jewish community to restore trust. I asked her why she'd said that.
Well, I condemned what Azhar Ali had said, but I also said that this seemed to be out of character. I'd known him for over 20 years and I'd worked with him, and he'd always supported me on issues of anti-Semitism, and indeed he'd been attacked for his connection with me in dealing with anti-Semitism, particularly anti-Semitism in the Muslim community. So the statement I heard just didn't really seem compatible with the person I'd known for 20 years.
And so were you encouraged to put that out by him or by the Labour leadership? Or why did you say what you said at that point?
I listened to the statement. I thought Azhar hasn't been like this before, so I made that statement. But I did realise, even as I made the statement, that this was a really very bad thing to say. And then when I heard the further statements from the secret recording, it was even worse, and I realised it just wasn't tenable, whatever the context it was said in.
So knowing him as you do, and for so long, do you think he is anti-Semitic?
I don't know what's in his heart. I only know what happened for 20 years, but I also know what he has been saying recently. And it appears this was some kind of internal, informal Labour meeting where there was some attempt to influence members of the Labour Party not to resign and maybe to support Keir Starmer over Gaza. I don't know what it was, and it's gone very wrong. But whatever it was, it's now clear that what was said was completely unacceptable, and it's right that he's now been suspended.
As you know, the left of the party, the Jeremy Corbyn sort of side of the party, if you like, the one that you were fighting, say that the reason Azhar Ali was treated differently was because of factionalism in the Labour Party. The way existing MPs who have lost the Labour whip were treated was because they were Corbynites, and Azhar Ali was treated more forgivingly because he was in the acceptable end of the party. So, you know, is Labour falling victim to factionalism still over this issue?
I don't think it is about factionalism. I think it's about looking what was said. And in this case, I think the imminence of the Rochdale by-election and the legal impediments to Labour changing its nominated candidate was something that must have influenced what happened initially. But in the end, Labour's recognised that it's simply untenable, and it's now really in the very sad situation of not having an official Labour candidate in the by-election in a Labour-held seat.
How do you think people should vote in Rochdale now?
Well, I think they have to take that decision. It's a terrible situation. No official Labour Party candidate, and it's going to be a matter for individual people in Rochdale to decide what they do.
Can I just ask you then how Labour decides now what are acceptable and unacceptable views? Because I'm sure you would accept, you know, that people can criticise the actions of Benjamin Netanyahu and individual decisions over the military action in Gaza. When does it go too far?
It's perfectly acceptable to strongly criticise the actions of any individual Labour government, including the current government in Israel, and be against what is happening. I think when things go over the boundaries is when you start to talk about Jewish people, the Jewish state having overwhelming power, influencing the media, and acting in a way that you would never attribute to any other country, and call Zionism itself, that is the belief in having a Jewish homeland, something inherently evil and racist. That kind of language, that sort of thinking, is something which is unacceptable.
So do you think it's unacceptable to say you are anti-Zionist? That you should not be allowed in the Labour Party if you identifies as an anti-Zionist?
I think it depends what you mean, and most people who are anti-Zionist mean that they think Zionism is some form of racism, and that is something that is not acceptable. That is an anti-Semitic thing to say.
Dame Louise Ellman, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.